Okay, I got to get away from the music a little bit so I don't get copyright strikes on this video that I'm doing. So you can see it's an overcast day. I got a blue filter on the camera. The really thick, heavy, white, silvery sky. Not a lot of texture for me to digitally collect the EMNC from the cloud level today. It's there. I can see it with my eyes, but I'm not going to be able to collect it with a filter on for sure. Not from the cloud level. But what I can do today is do something that I don't do as often because it takes more of my time, which is digitally collect the EMNC from the trees and from the landscapes. And I'm looking around right now for rocks or stones and things like that, right? And I want to talk a little bit to the camera. I wish they didn't have this fucking music going on behind me, but it's the way it goes, I guess. Um, I don't know why the fuck they blast music all day over there. There's nobody even over there. So I'm gonna get out of the rain a little bit and just go like this inside here, under here, because it is raining out also. So what I'm doing right now is digitally collecting electromagnetic nanocarbon from the area we call the trees over there. Some some major things have been breaking through on the awakening of the human population. I don't know how far widespread it is, but it seems to be a very large awakening. And there are a lot of agents that are out there at the same time this is all happening who are paid conspiracy deniers. They're paid to distract you and try to steer you away from researching for yourself and investigating. And many people all around me, as I'm coming to all these things as well, they're matching everything that I've been trying to show all of you for the last 10 years. That there's a system that we're not told about, a system that was already in place for thousands of years, way more advanced than the system that we're forced to use now. It's undeniable when you look at what it is I'm trying to show all of you that you can see with your own eyes. Then it becomes undeniable that everything you have ever heard, learned, thought, taught, programmed has been a lie. Anybody that's been watching my videos hears me talking, you know what I'm going to be talking about today is going to be the Tartarian timelines. Tartaria, Tartara. There's different names for this timeline that was totally erased from our history. And all the people, this is the best part that I like about it, all the people that are researching the Tartarian timeline, I don't know if I should say all, but a lot of the people that are researching it have been researching it for a while. And I'm really loving all of the finds and that they're putting things together. Finds, FINDS. They're finding a lot of things that now are making sense to more and more people. Uh, Getting a little distracted. Anyways, So these Tartarian timelines, what they're doing, so I'll just mention a few of the things that I like, and throughout the day today while I'm digitally collecting from the trees, I will go back and try to do more. I'm trying to stop the rain from getting on the camera at the same time. All right, so let's throw a few. Okay, the mud floods. I went down the rabbit hole of the mud floods a long time ago. People were in denial that it was a worldwide event. People claim that it was not, and I like to call it an earth-wide event because we don't live in a world. We don't live on a world. That was all lies. And most people have such a hard time with that. Most people have such a hard time with hearing these things about dinosaurs being a lie. They just can't get it through their fucking heads, you know? Family and friends included. Nobody can get that through their head. Why would they lie about it? Well, it's a billion-dollar industry, $1 billion a year industry, more than $1 billion a year, several $1 billion a year industry in the dinosaur business for a long time, for a few hundred years now. These Freemasons were running fucking roughshod over us for a long, long time. Now, when I start talking about the Tartarian timelines, I want you all to remember something as I'm talking about them. Don't think that I'm all on board with claiming that the Tartarians were the lost civilization that we were lied about, because they were at a time when we were telling ourselves the truth and not lying to ourselves, because we were already lying to ourselves even in the Tartarian timeline. So if the Tartarian timeline turns out to be, it looks like they're trying to put it together for 1,000 to 2,000 years, maybe something like that, as it grew. So it started out, a couple thousand years ago in Asia, Mongolia, Europe, different areas of Europe, all the way into what we today call Russia, and so on and so forth. So it was all over, but it made it to the Tartarians made their way into the Americas. They were already here when the Pilgrims got here. They were already here when the Freemasons came in from both ends. The Tartarians were already here. So the advanced technology that the Tartarians were using is the same technology that I keep telling you guys, that when I'm doing these videos of the clouds is one example, but we can pull in the whole solar system to it by digitally collecting the EMNC from the moon as well, and put all that together. It's a pretty simple picture to paint for people because it's visual. So I can easily put these videos together for you and show it to you and not have to explain it to you with my lying tongue, because we humans are just lying motherfuckers, right? As I keep saying. I'm gonna see if I'm gonna go over here. So as I'm doing trees today, I'm gonna go right up to some of these trees, and I'm gonna drop the camera on there, and I'm gonna go like this, and look, digitally collecting the electromagnetic nanocarbon from this tree. Okay, that's what I'm going to be doing. So it's going to be a kind of a boring video, but I need to talk about a bunch of shit, so I might as well try to get it out there. And I got to stay around the trees anyway because it's raining. Okay, so the Tartarians were already lying to themselves and to each other already for a couple thousand years before the new timeline began that we're involved in, okay? The evidence for that is right here in this fucking tree, because I keep telling you, it's feline, canine, rodent, ape, human, and beast faces only. That means so much, because when we were growing up, we were told to use our imaginations to look. And if we seen what I'm showing you, then you were supposed to deny reality and go along with what your parents and your teachers told you was reality, which was all lies, okay? All lies, because that's what our system is all about. Our system is all about the lies. The Tartarian system was also lying to themselves and lying to each other already during that system. We know this because My main evidence of this is look at the size of the stones that they were building with. Okay, so granted, you could tell that they had technology that we today deny ourselves. Today, that same technology that they were using to build with, we now today call that weather conditions. Okay, Mother Nature, we'll call it, right? So in other words, name them: earthquakes, tornadoes, rain, storms, thunder, lightning, um, volcanoes, earthquakes, all these things that we call natural and nature. Okay, this is how I know. I don't have. This is how I have a knowing and not a belief. So anybody that wants to talk about beliefs of the Tartarian timelines, I can honestly tell you, no, that we have a knowing. We have a knowing of it, and we deny the knowing in favor of imagination, belief systems, made up fucking stories told by our supposedly parents, grandparents, and ancestors that we easily follow because we know, using the true creator's energy, we all have a knowing of everything that I'm saying. You don't need to listen to me say it. You don't need to see my videos online to know that you can walk up to any tree in your yard, anywhere around you, any rock, stone, boulder, the clouds, the moon, all at your access. And you have the right to go see what I'm showing you the same way that I'm looking for myself, right? You were told not to. You were convinced that if you looked, you were going to be ridiculed and laughed out of society. And you would. You would. You have to find a way around that. All right. There's definitely true. That is going to happen. Um, I guess there's no way really around that happening, but what you have to do is be able to swallow it and say, fuck you, you bunch of fucking idiots. You're all fucking zombie slaves. You need a confidence in you that you can confidently um, say that to yourself and to others when you are ridiculed, okay, about these things. I'm saying that because right now there's a lot of ridiculers online ridiculing the people that are talking about the Tartarian timelines. Tartarian, whatever, which is us. It sounds like, sounding more and more like that's where a lot of us came from that timeline. All right, so move down a little bit. You can clearly see in the camera it's feline, canine, rodent, ape, human, and beast faces only. Now, when I'm listening to some of these people that are really good, they're really good investigators that are online on YouTube is where I'm finding everybody talking about the Tartarian timelines. One of the things I noticed is that they're still afraid to look at what it is I'm showing you. I heard them talk about it because when they were talking about different images being seen in stone, human faces, they just write it off as the same images we all talked about when we were children, that we can see it. Dad, mom, I can see it. I can see it in the trees. I see the beast. I see the feline, canine, rodent, ape, human, and beast in the trees, all on different days, all seeing maybe one image out of the thousands that are right in front of you right now in this camera. You're probably only seeing one. I can help you. I can start cropping. I can start going like this, and I can bring light into the camera from different ways, right? I can start cropping so that you'll see all these, by the way, timelines, all these lines that you're seeing everywhere, all through these that are making up these images. These are timelines. These are the actual fucking timelines. The timelines that come down from the stationary stars. The energy comes from the stationary stars, comes down through the moon, and then the moon acts as an electromagnetic nanocarbon regulator when issuing souls to the bio realm. That's pretty damn amazing. All right, so what they did was they took out a lot of information out of the books and put everything in upside down world. They're going back to 1776 for a date that this would be happening, all right? That it would have been the start of the New World Order. would have been 1776. And they have a lot of reasons for this. As I'm listening to all these people talk about the Tartarian timelines, and they're finding places around the world that show evidence of that timeline, if you look at the blocks that they were using, the blocks are still only in the thousands of pounds, maybe tens of thousands of pounds, some of them, like in the base from the ground. And then as they start going up, they do go a little bit lighter, just to the thousands of pound stones, right? Maybe 900 to 2,000 pound stones and this kind of thing. This is how I know, without a doubt, this is how I have a knowing that that's not the timeline, that we were being honest with ourselves about absolutely everything. We were still at that time not being honest with ourselves about everything. The lies had already begun. There was a time, though, in our history, 10,000 to 12,000 years ago, that I keep throwing out there, was a timeline that I seen, that we all knew the truth and reality of everything. We knew the reason for duality, because it was the false creator slash creators build. That was the blueprint for the false creator slash creators build. The false creator might be the one that you might call God and Satan at the same time. They're both the same. Then we have the true creator, the one I keep pointing out to you. The true creator is the builder of everything in this realm. Rocks, stones, trees, humans, everybody, everything in this realm. The triangular builders that you see right here in this tree, the same triangular builders that I keep showing you guys in the, it's fucking amazing. Even without any light, it still looks good. I'm just going to move around this tree a little bit. I mean, it'd be better with a red filter than a blue, but blue works fine. And it looks like I do see some body imagery. I've been avoiding bringing up body imagery because I don't want to distract myself from this right now. But I will talk about it later. But I do think that I see possibly one body. And body imagery, in a nutshell, is also based on division. You have facial features that work for your torso area and then your lower leg area. It all keeps coming to face within face within face within face, like a collage. And that may be where the whole breakdown of the human body walking around, along with feline, canine, rodent, ape, and beast, human body, same thing. It comes from the divisions of the false creator slash creator. Now, everything other than the feline, canine, rodent, ape, human, and beast, something else everyone has a hard time with, is provably evolved from humans, from human influence. The pig, the cattle, the horse, all these other species that we share the earth with now today, the fish, all the ocean creatures, all of these whales, dolphins. We're told whales are the oldest around, and they can even go back to hundreds of thousands and thousands of years, and some kind of shit like this. And they're prehistoric genes and blah blah blah. They're all lies. Everything was based on fucking lies. Now, this Tartarian timeline, if that's what it's going to take to wake everyone up, so be it. Wake the fuck up, because everyone's waiting for you. We're fucked. I mean, we've already let this go on way too far gone, to all pretend that we're so fucking stupid. I'm on a campus today. So whenever I'm on this campus, it makes me think more than ever how fucking dumbed down the human population has gotten. It's really bad. They set these schools up everywhere to indoctrinate us into their ignorance, and then they call it intelligence. It's backwards, upside down world. When I listen to the children talk, pretty much any age, when I listen to them speaking about things, I realize, oh my God, we fucked these fucking kids so bad. They're screwed. They believe in the math that they use. And even when you have a conversation with them about zero and infinity, they don't get it. They just think, oh, well, it's a human concept. So what? So you can prove it's a human concept. What's the big deal? So we use it, it's usable. So why would there be any harm to that? That makes humans geniuses. No, man, it makes us fucking liars. And we added that zero to our clock. That means we use it for time. The zero is in everything, all of our math. So therefore, we're using it for a lot of bad things to do to ourselves. And they just smile and ridicule, and they don't understand how bad it is. And then you could talk about history. Who cares? Yeah, we knew about the Tartarians, they'll say. We knew about them. Who cares? When they really didn't know about them, they were not taught about it in school. And if if it was even mentioned, it was mentioned that, oh yeah, some crazy people at one time wanted to name themselves this, and this is all they were, and they were mudslingers. You know, they didn't say nothing about, oh, they had technology, they knew what we today call weather, they knew how to control it, they used what we today call weather conditions, and they knew how to properly operate the volcanoes. They knew how to properly um, use the electrical current that is all around us, the electromagnetic system that we live within. They didn't buy into bullshit stories from people like Tesla or Edison or other people. They didn't believe their fucking lies. They were way more advanced than that. And then you look up to people like Elon Musk and fucking Bill Gates today. That's who you guys look up to. And over the years we learned to look up to also fake people that were liars and gave us crap technology, kept us away from the reality. And then when people like myself came out and said, hey, look up at the sky, just start with that, right? Because we don't all live on the sea, so we can't see what they're doing on the ocean, but we can certainly see what they're doing right above our head every fucking day. Hey, look up in the sky. For the last fucking 30 years, 30 fucking years, I've been doing wake up call about the chemtrails, what we call chemtrails. And everybody that I've ever met and known, family, friends included, all shrug it off. I've never met anybody that actually looks into it, has interest in it, nothing other than um, when the internet came out, when I started getting online, then you finally would meet other people that would do that, that would actually be willing to look. They'd actually be willing to look around and see, what's what. Okay, I'm just going tree to tree. This is another tree. Just walked a few feet away because the maintenance guys are here taking their break, so I don't want to have to worry about what I'm talking about. All right, so some of the other things that some of these Tartarian conspiracy realists, whatever you want to call them, because that's what I'm going to call them, they're realists. They're looking for real answers. And it seems like that's what I'm going to have to make my series out to. I'm going to find 2 or 3 of my favorite Tartarians, fellow Tartarians, and I'm going to reach out to them and make a series to them because they still don't see what it is I'm trying to show all of you. This is why I kept asking everybody, please, if you don't understand what it is I'm showing you, share the videos with somebody else. Share the channel with others who will understand it, who will see it and understand what it is I'm showing them, right? It's very important that we all do this. One of the things that bothered me about the children staying in their comatose state is that we put them in this comatose state. just the same way that our parents put us in the comatose state, and so on and so forth. Tying into the Tartarian timelines. One of the things about the Tartarian timelines was at the end of that timeline, in 1776, leading up to 1776, all through the 1800s, all the stories are all coming together now, and some of them being, let's say, the underground railroads that we were told slaves were escaping in. Kind of funny how people without the proper equipment made these huge, vast tunnels underneath all the Americas, throughout all the European continents, throughout Asia, throughout all over the fucking earth, right? They didn't have they're walking around horse and buggy and donkeys, and supposedly we're to believe this nonsense that we were fed in school about reality, and none of it was true. It's very disappointing, very disappointing. And especially when you hear people come out talking against these truths and realities, they talk against them as if they're theoretical and as if they're mythical. It's not fucking mythical. You got fucking, even though photos and shit from that time period could be, um, not saying they can't put the uh, psyops out there, because they can. So there might be parts of this Tartarian system that might be psyoped. No doubt about it. No doubt about it. No doubt in my mind, because they have to. They have to. They have to make sure that it's all set up so that if anybody talks about the Tartarian system openly, like I'm doing now, they have to be embarrassed by it and they have to be ridiculed for it. Okay, that's why I have to not talk so loud so that no one else hears me. All right. So some of the other things uh, in the Book of Genesis, I think it's. Uh, in the Book of Revelations, I believe it's chapter 20, and they talk about the the mountains melting like wax in those final days. Because what's happening here is, as they're putting together the Tartarian timeline, they think that they're onto a religious thing that was talked about in the Bible and over the years. Okay, and one of those things is, God, man, this goes so many different areas. It goes so many different fucking places that you have to have an interest in what the fuck is going on, and you have to have an interest in knowing reality. Otherwise, your lazy brain is going to go right back to the false system, and you're just going to ignore this, and you can't. All right, so they call it the short reign of Satan, or they also are calling it the 250-year reign of Satan, when Satan was released from the hole, when God sent his son Jesus back, and there's biblical stories to all this. Now, I'm not for it. I'm not for any of that. But all you Bible thumpers, anybody that believed in Christianity or Catholicism for that matter, you'll see the duality that your churches all teach. The duality. If you look with open eyes and don't be afraid of reality, then you will see and understand what a lot of people already see and understand. That is duality, the devil and God as one. The devil and God are the same. They need the duality in order to make their human system work, because they copied what I am telling you is the false creator slash creator, not Satan slash God, the false creator slash creator, who we should have more respect for than we do God and Satan stories, really, because we can see the evidence of the false creator slash creator, and we can see the evidence of the true creator. We have nothing but a belief system when it comes to what we call God or Jesus or Christ or well, I guess Muhammad, you could say, was a real person, maybe, because but none of the things he did were any miracle workings either. So I mean, you could put Buddha, same thing. um, were these all just mythical characters that we built up and made these mythical, carried down these other religions from other times, from pagan times, that kind of thing? So was this a battle between the pagans and the Tartarians, and the pagans used the churches in order to take over the Tartarian landscapes and take over the Tartarian territory, which is exactly what happened. That's exactly what they did. All right, so you had the orphan trains. That's another big thing that the Tartarians are all looking into. The Tartarians are looking into it and saying to themselves and their others and saying, what the fuck we went through this whole process throughout the 1800s, and what happened to all these parents? We're told that they died of the plague. Did they really die of the plague? They also look into the Tartarians. When looking into those timelines, they look at a lot of other things that I thought very strange over the years, but never had any real evidence of, other than showing you that we were lied to about absolutely everything. So to come up with proof and evidence of the truths of those times and the truths of the lies that we were told, I didn't have those truths. Now we're starting to get them. Now you're starting to see another way of looking at things. The Spanish Inquisition. Well, I've been talking about the Spanish Inquisition for a long time because it was definitely during one of the resets. And one of the things that bothers me a lot about watching all these resets happen over the last 10,000 years, 12,000 years, was that black humans don't get their turn on the world stage. Every time this world turns over and we have another reset, black humans are never at the top. They're never the leaders. And it's been over 10,000 years for that. I've been mentioning that lately, and I'm going to keep mentioning it because it's very, very telling. The last time that we were being told the truth about anything and being truthful and honest with ourselves was before the Tartarian timelines. So although I'm going to give credit where credit is due to the Tartarians for all the technology that they did not deny in our reality at the time, okay, I'll give them that much. But they definitely were holding back on something because the blocks that they were using to build with, like I said, were only in the, you know, 1 to 2 ton at best, right? 1 to 2 ton blocks, which is still hard to do with horse and buggy and all that shit that our modern history teaches us that they didn't have that technology back then in the 1400s, 1500s, 1600s. We were told that none of that technology ever existed. We're supposed to be the most advanced technology right now. That's what they tell us, and we convinced ourselves of it. That's why around me are tens of thousands of children going to school right now, all learning these fucking lies. Young adults, they already learned all the basic lies in elementary school and growing up and everything. Now they're into the bigger lies, right? What fucking slaves we are. We're such slaves. All right, let me move the camera around a little bit. Go to another tree. These are all different types of trees that I'm looking on. Oh no, they're pine. They're all pine. Of some flavor of pine trees. I'm going to be talking about the trees in a minute too. I just want to get through some of this first. All right. So the people that are talking about the Tartarian timelines are also bringing up something else that I always wondered about and didn't have a hell of a lot of evidence for, but the strange, weird things that happen some years after the mud flood, which was we had these world fairs. And I always thought something funny about the fucking world fairs because I see with all the technology that we supposedly have today that's so great, how hard it is to replicate what they did back then in the 1800s. And I always said to myself, that's a lot to do. I mean, when you look back at what they claim that they did to set up these world fairs and then tear them down immediately afterward, it just was too fucking weird. The other thing is, all of our timelines all around in the last 250 years, whether it's France, Germany, you can put together using the Tartarian timelines and the lies that we were told. You'll easily see that all these civil wars that we all had in the Americas and in France and Germany, blowing up half of Europe and all that shit, most of Europe for that matter. All the wars that we had were all to hide the Tartarian timelines. That's all that it was. Kill ourselves off and hide the Tartarian timelines, furthering the slavery of the human population. When you watch those trains roll in back in the 1800s, now I have some perspective on some of this because my Bapshi came in, and my Bapshi and my Jaju came into the Americas on those orphan trains. Something happened to their parents. Our lineage, we don't know the personal, though I could probably go get one of those stupid gene fucking tests and they'll probably try to follow my timeline. But I remember my grandmother, before she passed, was putting together our timeline, and it did not go back very far. Yeah, it branched out a lot. There were a lot of branches. I do remember that, because every time someone marries, has children, branches. Every time, again, they get married, children, branches, married, children, grandchildren, branches. So there were a lot of branches, especially when you made it through the baby boom era and shit like that. The branches went everywhere. So there were a lot of people in there, but the timeline did not go back very far. I do remember that. I was saying, wow, that doesn't go back. That doesn't even go back to Ju and Bapshi's childhood. So we don't even know what happened. We have to go by family stories that they thought, right? And they spoke Polish when they got here and spoke very little English by the time they died. They were still mostly speaking Polish throughout their lives. And then on the other side of the family was Gypsy, Canuck French, Canadian French, which would have been the same fucking story. Because when you look at the timeline, I'm just talking about my family alone. Everybody else is probably about the same thing. So if you have a royal bloodline and you came over as a Freemason, okay, now you're a different category. Then you're a Luciferian. Then you're a Freemason, Illuminati. You're not a Tartarian, by heart. But otherwise, you were. And you were moved around, and your parents were fucking killed off in Europe. Claims of famines, a potato famine in Ireland. How stupid are we? What, that's the only food that they had in Ireland? No, that was the governments. That was the governments doing that. The Illuminati, Freemason run fucking on the down low, of course, right? Because then they prop up these governments and run everything under other names, CIA, FBI, different, under all these different governments of the United States, France, Italy, Germany, all these governments, so-called governments. They're all Luciferians. It's fucking obvious. It's very, very obvious. This is what they've done to us. The stories themselves are obvious, not even including the evidence that I'm showing you right now in front of your face, that I've been showing you for the last 10 years, that everyone still seems to be in denial of. This, what I'm showing you, is the absolute fucking evidence, visual evidence, between the trees, the rocks, the stones, the moon, the clouds, your human skin. That's it. That's really all you need. Visual evidence from those few places, and you're all set. That's all you need to get it out of your mind and stop worrying and saying, oh my God, did they really lie to me? Am I really lying to myself? No, you'll just know. You will have a knowing once you go look and you stop the fear bullshit, because there's no need to be afraid of what it is I'm showing you. I'm showing you all the evidence that you all need. Money ain't going to do you no good. Faith is going to do you no good. Your religions are going to do you no good anymore. What I'm showing you, and knowing what it is I'm showing you, and knowing it, not just me telling it to you, because that's nothing either. Okay. Feline, canine, rodent, ape, human, and beast, over and over, faces only. You can see it in the trees. You can see it everywhere you look. And then I'm going to say that everybody's looking at me from the lot. They think I'm filming them. They don't know that I'm filming the tree. Who the hell goes around filming trees, especially nowadays? All right, back to the Tartarians. So, the mud floods. There was a guy years ago, 10 years ago or so. His name was Nick Research. I remembered his name after I made the last video. The last one, I was trying to remember his name. That was the name of his channel. I'm pretty sure his channel's gone. But now that I'm watching these guys that are bringing out the Tartarian timeline, they're on the mud floods just as good as he was. And they're also adding a lot of other shit for us, right? And I'm loving it. I'm loving it. Because I've been saying all this shit for a long time. And now these guys are coming out and talking about it like it's commonplace. Like, yeah, of course. Who doesn't know? The only people who don't know are the people who are pretending not to know. They're pretending that they don't understand it. They're pretending that they're in another reality that only they can experience. Bullshit, man. They're in a fucking false reality that anyone can experience if you want to. Who the hell wants to live in a false reality? I don't. All right. So I'm loving it, because here's another one, and I'll play some of these videos for you when the time comes, but I do have to worry about copyright strikes. But whoever I make the series out to, I will bring some of their videos into it and show you what they're showing, because I love it. All right, so George Washington's wife, our first president, I always said was an ugly fucking bitch. She was so ugly. I don't know what the hell would a general and a president and being so famous and Freemason, another fucking Freemason, just like all of our presidents were. And why would he want to be with such a dog, you know? Because she was not a woman. She was a fucking man. And you always knew it. You always knew it looking at it. Oh, she's the one that sewed the first flag together. No, she did not. That's another fucking lie. That wasn't even our flag. We stole the fucking idea. Everything was bullshit. We started worshiping the flag. It was all false fucking things. We should not have been worshiping a flag. The same way we shouldn't have been worshiping any other false flags that they put out there. For example, what they were telling us was God. What they were telling us was the devil. We should not have been worshiping these things, because that's not what it actually is. Never was. It's better than those things. It's the truth and the reality is better than those things. But you're not going to know that until you go look for yourselves. So let's see, James Adams. James Adams, the second president, I believe he was. Also, same thing. Wrote the Declaration of Independence, married to a woman uglier than himself. No, not happening. When you see the photographs of them, they did photographs of them and stuff, and it was obvious. There were many, many others, even ones that these guys online that are doing the Tartarian timelines, they don't even mention a lot of them that I know about. And I know about them because I looked at their pictures. That's it. That's all it takes. I don't care what they put up on their breast area to make it look like they had boobies. I don't give a fuck if they put a dress on. You could tell that they're men. Okay. This duality that they're doing and duality that they're playing with is something they got from the false creator/creator. Because when the false creator/creator did his build, I say his, you might say her build, because everything was divided. Male and female were divided. This whole division thing that I keep talking about, I get thrown off because like a couple months back, my son was asking me, saying, no, that's not division that you're doing then. You're adding, because you're adding this to that and subtracting. He's subtracting. I'm like, no, that's not it. If people are not understanding me properly, it's not that I'm explaining things wrong. It's that you guys have been taught wrong about math. Because what I'm talking about when I say division is the false creator/creator first divided himself from the true creator's work. As soon as he did that, he was kept dividing. Now, all those divisions happened at one moment, And time, that's very believable, because in the true creator's energy, time is all one. So to say that it took 6 months of the false creator slash creator to keep dividing before he created what we now know as the bio realm, that would not really be true in the true creator's energy. That's only true when you start dividing and using the false creator slash creator's energy. It's not complicated. It's very simple. So that is division. That's not addition. He didn't subtract himself from the true creator's work. He divided himself from it. In other words, the false creator slash creator's images that he divided himself from in the true creator work, just the images. I'm not talking about the energies that are there around that image, but just the image alone, and the energies and everything else that was involved with division, doesn't mean that he took anything from the true creator's work. That would be impossible. That would be like me claiming that now today I'm in this bio shell, but when I someday die, I won't be in the true creator's realm anymore. I'm going to go to heaven. My soul goes to heaven or whatever. And then no, you're always in the true creator's realm, no matter what. So granted, your soul will be divided from your body and go back to the system, and you will be the triangular builders that are building this tree right now. You'll be the triangular builders that are building you and I right now. You'll be back to those builders. And those builders are in all places at all times. And people get confused with that. But you have to understand that's the true creator's work is all one. So of course it's going to be that way, right? Now I got people coming in on this side, so I'm going to walk down here and see maybe I can get between this tree. Feline, canine, rodent, ape, human, and beast. Here's another tree. Clearly see. You can clearly see. I see it all everywhere. The timelines can all be seen. Now these timelines, these are the true creator's timelines. The false creator slash creator uses them for the bio realm. So we can know these timelines. We can know how to use them. We can know how to follow them. We can know how to understand them very easily because we have visual evidence of them. Not just in the trees. I show this to you in the clouds. I show this to you in the moon. I explain to you as I'm doing my moon videos. As I'm remastering them, I'm explaining to you. Here's the timelines. These same timelines come down through the moon and connect to the earth. They actually go through the earth, back out the other side, because remember, it is above is so below, not because humans made it that way, not because they wrote about it in their fucking lying ass Bibles. No, it is above so below because the false creator slash creator entire build was based on division. So if he built an above, then he built the below. And if he built the side, he built the back, he built the forth, he built the up, he built the down. If he built an in, he built an out, okay? But the builders don't build that way. The builders, work for the true creator. So you know that for sure, and there's evidence for that because when you go and look at everything that you see here, right? When you're looking in the camera and you see all this, and you go and do it with your own trees in your backyard or your own rocks and stones. There's no rocks or stones anywhere around here. That's another thing that sucks. I don't know. No, you'd think they have some fucking natural rocks and stones in this park, but they don't. It's fucking weird, I mean, I see some stones over there, but they have human influence in them. They're cut by humans. I mean, I might go over and do them. We'll see what happens. All right, onward with the explanation. So these timelines, we can all see them. The same exact system, opposite of the same exact system, exists on the other side of us. That's one of the reasons why they had to convince us that we lived on a spinning wet pear rocket ball. Granted, the earth is not flat either. That's why the flat earths PSYOP was put out there, the same way that the Tartarian PSYOPs will be put out there. They're already set up for when anybody, as a matter of fact, I would venture to guess that if they're putting this out there about the Tartarian timelines, they want it out there. Because when you look back, Putin was the one that put the Tartarian timelines on the map in the public's mind. That was Putin, as far as I know. There might have been others. But that's when the maps all started being released and pointing out that, wait a minute, this Tartaria, this was a little bit deeper than what we were told in our more modern maps, and people started going back to older maps and looking for evidence and seeing that, oh, okay, so we were definitely lied to back at this time and that time and all this kind of thing. Well, that's the same thing, because President Obama in the Americas was the one that introduced the Flat Earth movement. He's the one that introduced it, because they're Freemasons. They do everything is upside down world. So when President Obama came out on stage, this is how easy it was for him to do this. And it was a huge wake up, if you all remember back then. Those are all your family members and your friends who you said were crazy and they were nuts. And it was a division some years before the Lion Mama Kona 19 virus came out. It was some years before that. I want to say it was around 2015, I think is around the timeline. So around 2015, 2014, because President Obama was only in office for a year or so. So figure out. So he came in 08, 9, 10, 11, 12. So maybe even 2011 or 2012, maybe even something like that. So what we know of as 2011, 2012, which is another great thing about the Tartarian timelines and figuring them out, because you realize how much of our timelines were lied to. We were lied to about, right? So we were lied to about a lot of years, hundreds of years, thousands of years at a time. And they just made up falsities and false stories that we, all the next generation, because when they killed off everyone's parents, when they do this total earth-wide takedown, which they're about to do again, they're about to do one coming soon. And when they do these kind of takedowns, everybody fucking dies. The kids are the only ones left. Very few of the older people, unless they want to go along with the slavery system. An example of that would be me. And I was trying to explain this to my son yesterday, and he's not getting it either. And it is worrisome to even have to tell him about this shit, but he's got to know. He's got to know what's happening and what's going to happen. So in our situation, his mother would be allowed to live. Usually, in most of the resets, the person that's the brainwashed zombie slave would be allowed to live, because they would be taking care of the younger siblings that are going to grow up as dumbed down zombie slaves. There's no one to show them reality. There's no one to talk to them about reality. So therefore, the father, who is no way is going around it. There's no way I'm going back to living the lies. There's no way I'm going along with your propagandist bullshit stories of, no, not doing it, right? So they got to take me out. This is the same thing that they did under the Tartarians. When the Tartarians were still here in the Americas, and I'm going to get to that. I'm working up to that. If the camera don't die before I get there, I'm going to have to run into the next camera. So therefore, this whole thing that they did with the last mud floods, they're going to possibly do another way right now. And here's the other kicker of it all, right? Because they got their AI set up, in order to run the system that we have evolved, because humans made this garbage system, and it's garbage. It's all fucking garbage anyways. But we made it. So therefore, we're all fucked, because they don't need us anymore, okay? Before, you were running the factories throughout the Industrial Revolution. Now that we're in the digital revolution, supposedly, and the data revolution, the databases that they're setting up all over the earth are going to be doing the job of the enslavers. There's not going to be any need for police officers anymore, very few, because if you think about it, the cameras will be the ones, cameras on every fucking corner, cameras in every pocket, cameras in every car, cameras in every pole, cameras every fucking where, cameras in every house. These cameras are going to be your new watchers. They don't need 10 different police agencies. So all the police agencies and law enforcement and courthouses and judges, all these humans that think their jobs are safe because they're too valuable, they can't let them go. Bullshit. You're unnecessary now. So you're all fucked. Freemason or not. Illuminati, I don't give a fuck. You're still gone. They're not going to keep you. I mean, how stupid are you? I mean, that's another thing that's happening right now with the Tartarian timeline is the Freemasons are even waking up. They're all thinking to themselves now, the ones who, because any low totem pole Freemason, if you're not higher than a 60, what is it, 67, 72, something like that, those two, you're not knowing all the shit that I'm showing you, and you're certainly not even hearing about the Tartarian timelines. Then you also have to be careful because the Freemasons are all such fucking liars that those people that are pretending that I woke up, I've been a Freemason all my life, because they're out there, they're coming out now. I've been a Freemason all my life, and even I wasn't told about the Tartarian timeline, so I'm pissed. Well, okay, well, you were probably the same company, the same person that would not show your face during the Flat Earth movement because you were a psyop. So when you came out and said, I'm a Freemason and I wasn't told about the Earth being flat, I was told that it was a ball. I'm pissed. I'm going to go against the Freemasons now. I'm going to go against the Illuminati and I'm going to expose them all. Kind of like Alex Jones did with the chemtrails, or what Alex Jones did with the school shooting fakery bullshit stories and stuff like that, right? He gets CIA agents, he gets United Kingdom PSYOP fucking professionals that are retired, puts them on his channel, and everybody believes what they say. Oh my God, even he didn't know. You know, you got Admiral Byrd telling us about the North and all that shit, which was all a bunch of shit too, or the Arctic Circle, I should say, which was also all lies that they could easily prove are lies. That's why they put them out there. So yeah, you got to be discerning. That's why it's better to go look at what I'm showing you as you're listening and looking at these guys talking about the Tartarian timelines. Please share if anybody goes to any of these Tartarian channels. Please share my channel with them, because what I'm doing is showing you all something that they would love to be able to see, but I cannot get to them. I'm going to be hidden from them, my channel. They're not going to get to even see me, okay? And I've called out a lot of these, like the Richard Vobes channel. That's where I came and got turned on to the Tartarian thing. I've heard different things about it over the years, but nothing compared to what's coming out now. Now there's so much shit being released, and when you put the puzzle together and you look at the timelines of what they did, it all makes sense. And it also makes sense with a lot of other shit that I've been finding over the last 10 years that I find, and then everybody just laughs me off. Everybody laughs at me about it, all right? So I'm going to talk about another one right now that's come up in the Tartarian timelines. Okay, back when I was listening to Nick Research talk about the mud floods, I at that time was on a journey because I'll tell the story like this. I started out because I was out on a journey. I was actually measuring for curvature at the time. I was measuring for the 8 inches per mile square, right? So it's supposed to be 8.1 inches per mile drop, because we supposedly live on a ball. So if you live on a 25,000 mile ball, then the math came out to 8 inches per mile square. So you have to do this from mountains, at least around where I am. I don't live on the salt plains. I don't live in the flats. I don't live in the desert. I don't live in Nevada. So therefore, but at the same time, when you think about all those places that are admitting to having thousands of miles in one direction that are all flat, we admit that it's flat. We have thousands of miles in another direction admitting that it's flat. No deniability that it's flat, so you have to admit it, which makes no sense if you're a fucking ball. You mean you're a ball, 25,000 mile ball with 2,000 miles this way flat and another 3,000 miles this way flat. Then you go 1,000 miles and you have another 2,000 miles this way flat. That doesn't make any fucking sense. And you're really not a ball then, are you? Make no sense. But I can assure you that even in our area, in the area of all around in New England, because I went out 300 miles, I believe it was. I'll have to pull the map out one day, and I'll pull the map out and I'll show you guys what I'm talking about. But when I was doing the measuring for curvature, I had mapped everything out, and I started off, you have to do it from the mountains, just to let you know. How can I fucking go down into a valley to measure for curvature? That's impossible. How can I stand on a flat ground at sea level and measure for curvature? I cannot. Too many trees, too many buildings, too many cars, too many people, too many mountains and hills and valleys and all this shit. So there's no way I can do it from ocean level, right? So what I had to do was get up on the mountains. So first thing I did was I pulled the map and looked at all the mountains in my area around for about within 100-mile range of where I lived. Connecticut, Massachusetts, Rhode Island is where I was living mostly at that time. So I started on local mountains, working from Mount Tom mountain, which I'll try to do some of this from memory, and I know I'll be somewhat close. So Mount Tom was kind of a small mountain, 600 feet above sea level in one of the areas that I was measuring from, 1,200 feet above sea level from another area known as Goats Peak. And that was about it. And then there was a couple that were higher, but I didn't want to go through the walking and hiking to get there. So I didn't. And also you had to look where the other mountains were that you were going to be. I had to find places on the sides of the mountains that I could look off and see the other mountains from. So that was not too difficult, really, to be honest with you. So the next mountains were all around the Quabbin Reservoir. So if you go to the Quabbin, you have some high mountains up there. So I was able to go off of those. Some of them are even lower. Some of them were, I remember, were 400, 500 feet above sea level. But that's okay. It didn't stop me from doing what I needed to do. Another one was the waters, whenever you got above waters. So whenever waters were involved, then that also made it very nice because you could measure for the curvature along water. That's